This radio here is the Hallicrafters WR-4000. If this radio looks familiar, that's because it has basically the exact same case as the WR-3000, which I posted a video on probably about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Although externally they're almost indistinguishable, except for the model here. Internally they are completely different. The 3000 has a metal chassis and was built in the US, and this set has a printed circuit board and was built in Japan. Although Hallicrafters did not build this set themselves, this set is still fairly well made. This is one of my few successful antenna repairs. Although it's probably not as sturdy as it once was. I do need to add some oil there just to make it a little easier to move. I've got it set to FM right now, so let's hear that. Tuning on this set is very smooth.
So shy, like you ain't sure, like you can't decide. Tonight, just want you to make. You'll be there. I go straight to VIP. I never pay for my drinks. My entourage.
Tone switch. It cuts out when it's set to the CW position on FM.
98.1 The Hawk.
Marilyn Robinson summarizes our state.
There you will be, sir. It's a pretty solid performer if you ask me. Now for some reason they didn't put the AM and FM bands right next to each other. If you go through the shortwave bands to get to the AM band,
and the worst thing is get on about 5-4 and right there. It'll be a 1-2 count, 2.
Probably should have done AM first. Seems like leaving the antenna out is picking up more interference. There we go. This is as good as it's going to get filming in front of my computer here. With all the switching power supplies and whatnot in the area. Looks like AM reception's not all that great today.
A dilemma and a problem. We can help. Together, we can unleash.
Format. The key to getting good stuff is when everybody becomes relaxed.
This fourth beast. Fact is, Daniel, as he...
So that's not really a lot of stations, unfortunately. I remember this performing quite a bit better. But as I've mentioned probably a few times recently, some days AM reception is just garbage at night. I don't know what the cause of that is. That's the amount of stations I'd expect to receive during, the daytime, not at night. So there's a long wave band, there's nothing there. The dial is a drum, and it's turned to different detents by the band switch knob. Same setup as the WR-3000. So here's the 49 meter band, and there should be a bunch of stations on there. Put the antenna up again, see what we can find. Hopefully it cooperates. The last section of antenna was ruined there, it was snapped off, so I can't pull it out past that point. But it still reaches up to the ceiling, almost. Has a fine-tuning control here.
Nobody's business for I'm not going to tell you. I've tried to keep the most of our earlier machinations.
Hoy para Christian, el año pasado perdió el contrato con los Marlins.
I just can't see past the things I pray.
So that's pretty good there on the 49 meter band. It's about as many stations as I usually receive around here. Nothing there. We're back to FM. Let's try the old Marine band here. Okay, there's usually at least a few people using single sideband on this frequency range. So let's see if we can get that to come in. I don't have super high hopes, but let's try it. I'm not even 100% sure the CW function's working.
Wind 180 at 5, visibility 5, mist, feeling 800 overtake. Aviation weather, Baltimore, wind 150 at 3, visibility 10.
I'd say that works actually. Awesome.
300, feeling 4,000.
Little touches of the control make a big difference.
Altimeter 3012. At 5. Feeling 5,000.
It's hard to keep it stable, but this is not really like a ham receiver, you know. This is kind of at the limits of its capabilities. I'm not sure why I have to turn up the volume so much to use the CW function. But anyway, you get the idea. I'm glad I was able to find a single sideband station and bring it in on this thing. I don't think I've done that before. Like I said, I wasn't even sure that feature was still working. Oh. One more thing. It's got a fairly nice dial light, a pair of them actually. It's one of the few things I repaired on this besides the antenna. Someone had left the dial light battery in there and it kind of damaged that holder, and actually the battery actually like wicked its way up through the wiring to the switch, so I had to replace all that wiring too. That was pretty annoying. Or at least the one wire rather. It's grounded to the chassis on the other side. This set is quite heavy with all the D cells in there, 8 of them. I don't know, probably 12 pounds, maybe 15 pounds. Stretching the limits of portability for sure. It weighs at least as much as a Zenith Transoceanic does. I think this model didn't sell super well because it just doesn't have as many features as the Transoceanic does, or at least I should say it doesn't have as many bands as the Transoceanic does. Now, for the longest time I was missing one of the feet off of this set, and I actually ran into it just a little while ago, and that's what made me decide to do a video on this. I had just replaced it with another random screw. I was hoping to find a matching rubber foot, but luckily I located the original one that had gone missing on me. So you can see the chassis is fairly nicely made. That's the band switch mechanism there. The gears for that are all plastic, so keep that in mind. Don't force the band switch knob in the wrong direction or anything like that. You're going to run into some trouble. I see it says I remembered, I haven't replaced any capacitors on this thing, and it still works quite well. So kudos to whoever built this for Hallicrafters. They did a good job. Used reasonably good quality parts. Although this thing doesn't seem to have seen all that much use. It would not be easy to recap this, unfortunately. That's part of the reason why I just didn't do that when I took care of the dial light situation. I did clean the controls, but that was months ago. So they're a little bit scratchy again, but that's how it is. I don't usually re-clean the controls later on. They generally clear up in use. Wow, I left some really old batteries in here. That's not good at all. I'm hoping they didn't leak. They have a little detachable plug there, which is pretty nice actually. It's kind of a premium feature. Kind of an interesting battery holder. Definitely an unusual design. They're in there pretty good. Like I said, hopefully none of these have leaked. I had forgotten that I had put old batteries in here. I think it was just supposed to be a temporary thing. And it ended up being several months. Oops. I'll get those out of there later. This still does come with a transistor location chart. Although, unlike in the WR-4000, they are not socketed. So it would be a lot of work to replace one of them. This does have a tuned RF stage, which is nice. Not all the cheaper shortwave sets did. And you can hook up an external antenna and ground over here. This lead goes to the built-in antenna down there. Here's a little strap for pulling out the battery case. Overall, it's a pretty nice set. And I think it's the last shortwave set that Hallicrafters really had anything to do with building. The case design is theirs, at least. I could be wrong, though. There are some other later Japanese-made sets, but they look to just be rebranded sets from those Japanese makers. Thanks for watching!